Good morning. Today is Wednesday, correct? And it's July, right? And it is the 23rd. A month ago, on June 23rd, my sweet little granddaughter turned 8 years old. I can't believe it's been a month already. So now she's 8 years old and 1 month. Anyway, I know you don't count age like that after you get a certain age. You know, you're like 2 months old, 3 months old, 15 months old, and then all of a sudden you're just receiving AARP and ready to file for Social Security, if you're so fortunate. Anyway, I wanted to share something about my bird issue. You know, I posted a video about the little bird that's in my carport. And so I want to share my anxiety with you about where I live. So when I moved to where I live, it's a little mobile home park. It was real close to my job, so I could walk to work 2/10 of a mile. I could walk to work and I could walk around the corner and be right where I'm at right now. I'm at my mama's house. And I liked the location because I thought, if my car breaks down, I'm not, reliant on a car to get to work. And plus, walking to work, I didn't have to deal with parking. I was always early. A lot of people it's such a high trafficked area, it's hard to even get parking. It can take time. You got to get to work early to find a parking spot. It became an issue as the crime rate kind of went up a little bit. And when I'm walking home in the dark, I started to feel I kind of jogged home. It was really good exercise because it's like when you're walking and there's people around and it's getting dark or it is dark, it is a way to get your heart rate up. So that was good. But then I thought, this might not be too safe. So then I started near the end of my employment there, not walking to work. So, and I drove, but I still certain times walked when I felt brave and when it was lighter out. But anyway, so back to the bird. So when I moved there in 2005, I had noticed these big eucalyptus trees that were on the other lot. And I looked at them and I thought, eucalyptus in California, they're not native to California and they tend to fall. They're very shallow rooted and they're heavy trees and they fall. And I thought, okay, I'm going to be squashed. And then where I show is a low power line. And I always saw that power line and thought, I'm like reenacting this. I'm looking up. I always saw this power line and thought, eh. And then right within 10 feet of my ramp that I show is all the gas lines. And then I knew what happened in San Bruno, California, where the Pacific Gas and Electric, if you saw Aaron Brockovich, Pacific Gas and Electric, the movie Aaron Brockovich, is the electrical company, one of them that's in California. And it's here in Northern California. Back in the day, I used to write checks. I'm talking like 80s to Pacific Gas and Extortionists. They cashed them. But yeah, they literally have had some issues with their power lines and fires. And some of the fires that you've heard about, that have been devastating is because of these power lines that are above ground. So anyway, I see a power line and I see the gas lines. And the gas lines in San Bruno, they were big gas lines and people had complained they smelled gas, but somehow it blew up part of a neighborhood. And, it was, can you imagine you're in your house and it blows up? Very, very traumatic and stuff, won't go into that. You can Google it, San Bruno blowing up PG&E. So yeah, I had that issues. And then when I first moved in to have, even back then in 2005, to have people that were kind of transient come to my front door knocking and asking for money. And I just thought, I'm in a mobile home park. Why? Isn't it kind of like notoriously people like maybe, it's the last affordable housing. What makes you think I got money? I don't. Not like that. Like, do you need a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Can I give you some water? Like, don't come to my doorstep, Of interest, Kirby came to my doorstep early on. Kirby vacuum cleaners. And I always, as a little girl, I grew up with Kirby. My mom has Kirby's. And I had my carpet in the house at that time. And it's a small house. And there was a lot of furniture. So I had very little exposed carpet. But Kirby comes, and those are like expensive vacuum cleaners. And I'm like, I'm going to buy a Kirby. So I had my Kirby. And, I bought it, financed it, real brilliant move. Not, but I felt like such a grown up. I had bought my place. I had a home now, and I had, and I had a Kirby, that's like, I'm grown now, Anyway, back to the bird. So I have the issue with birds. I like birds. I don't have anything against birds, but I'm kind of scared because around New Year's, I don't know what year. It was way before COVID, but it was a couple days before New Year's, a clear day, no wind. And I'm in the house with my mama, and she's like mobile at that time, and I'm moving a piece of furniture. And all of a sudden, I saw and heard this, on the window, like flashlight, because I had this paper on the window so I wouldn't have to look at my neighbor's place that's next to me, next to the garden, kind of create my own, kind of look like stained glass, but it's a little tissue paper. So, I said, Mom, that's the power line. And I thought it was the power line that goes over my garden. And so I ran with my phone outside and I'm calling 911. Help, the power line's down, and I'm looking at the power line and it's hanging, it's dangling, right? And I'm like, shh. And that's when I noticed the high voltage lines that were behind me. I had noticed the eucalyptus trees. I had noticed the low power line. I had noticed the gas lines, all the connectors. And I never noticed those big poles, like big wooden poles. And on the top, they have bright signs that say high voltage lines. Never noticed that they're like feet away from my, place, so many feet. And I'm just like, oh my God, how did I miss that? I didn't look up. Like, what did I think it was? It wasn't like a tall clothesline, but it just never, I just think I just couldn't, I was so focused on those eucalyptus and the gas lines and the low power lines. So then that became a new, oh gosh. So the fire department comes out, they get out and they're looking and they're like, we can't do anything. It's still now, it had stopped dangling. And you're going to have to call PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric. But right as they're getting ready to leave, my neighbor next door, the empty lot that you see that's kind of empty near me on other videos, her place had fire coming out of her bathtub. She came running out screaming, there's a fire, there's a fire. So they were able to put it out quick, but it burned the, I guess, underground wires and stuff. Somehow it came from underneath and it just totally messed up that lot. So there's never been another mobile home there, even though it's a big lot. I made it a garden once when I was living there, but I stopped doing that. It's not my property. And there are property lines and it's 3 feet from my shed going to that lot. So anyway, back to the bird. Focus. So I'm painting and trying to keep the rust off the carport, supporter. What do you call it? Sticks? Oh my God. Legs. Things that hold the carport. Anyway, so I'm doing that and I'm on the back side of it, whatever. And there's a bird that's coming at me, a little bird that was kind of like, seemed like it was distressed. So I got off the ladder because I thought, I'm on this 7-foot ladder, but I'm only like maybe 5 feet up, 4 feet up. But, I'm not afraid of heights. It literally is. I am somebody that's afraid of falling from any height because I know you can fall from just on the ground and have a serious problem, let alone falling from a ladder. So I'm very, very, very careful on ladders. So if I ever fall on a ladder and God forbid become terribly injured or unalive, just know I was careful. I am so careful on ladders. But I'm thinking this bird is going to startle me or try to knock me off the ladder or something. Because, okay, back to the eucalyptus trees. I hated those trees. Because of the high fire danger, eucalyptus oils and all that, they also become like Roman candles if there's fires, and we have fires. So it's like I'm thinking, not only can they fall and crush me, they can turn my place into like a barbecue pit or something. And I just, had some anxiety about that, So, but they were the home of a lot of little critters. They were huge. There were several of them, There was like 4 of them, and then there was a big redwood tree. So anyway, all those trees are gone. They were all been removed. I think PG&E said you need to get those trees down to the owner of the mobile home park because she's not necessarily one to knock down trees because that would be costly. I don't want to say that she's kind of cheap and doesn't keep things up, but I don't think she knows I have a YouTube channel. She's a wonderful woman, just very warm-hearted. just a beautiful human being. Anyway, so she probably is. I just don't relate. I don't relate to people with that kind of money and wealth and how they don't share it. Anyway, so maybe she does. Take that back. She might. It just doesn't show where I live. How's that? Is that fair? Fair. Okay. So anyway, back to the bird. So I'm cleaning stuff and I see all this like gunky stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to clean it. So I got my hose, and what's notorious in mobile home parks is you don't necessarily have high water pressure. So I'm like, and plus I don't have the little gadget on the hose because that broke, the thing that, psh. And so I'm taking the hose and I'm trying to, clean it. And then I see little flapping movement. I thought, oh, there's something in that. There's something. It's a bird nest or something, because I had found other bird nests. They were abandoned, and I thought, oh, how neat, But yeah, so that was that. And so then I had my neighbor. There's these neighbor boys. They're like men now, young men. And I'm like, well, you go up there and look on the ladder and just look and peek in there. What is in there? And he's like, he went up there and he's like, there's a baby bird. So I've been watching it while I've been painting, and I've been kind of staying away from it. And I haven't started painting on that side of my home yet. And because I'm kind of afraid. I was on the flip side of the the pole, and did that. If I would have turned around and not paid attention and walked up and started painting and looked down and saw a bird looking at me, I don't know. I have a very strong startle reflex. That's also like a sign of people with anxiety disorders. Like I hear boom and I'm like, but yeah. So the bird, yesterday I took a video and I actually saw a bird sitting in there, and it's like, so I have to figure out, it's got to go eventually. I can't have that in there. I need to have stuff clean, but I can't do it. I'm not doing it, so I'm going to wait. I don't know what the nesting, whatever, but I know there was a baby in there, and I don't think they take a long time to be kicked out of the nest, but no, I'm going to really have to hire somebody to keep that, maybe the neighbor guy, to keep that area like where birds don't do that. I just don't want that. I don't want it. I feel bad, because I do feel like when the eucalyptus trees were knocked down, and then I saw all these crows, and they still come back. They lived in those trees, and they walk around on the dirt, and they look like a bunch of old little men walking around in circles like they're still pissed. And this is years ago. And I feel like, and I've talked to them. I've told them I had nothing to do with taking those trees down, even though I said I hated the trees. I used to say, God, I hate those trees. And I'm just thinking, and I know, I'm not saying that I think birds understand me, but I think they understand us better than we understand them. Let's put it that way. And I just feel like between the birds knocking the hot wire and the bird diving at me, that, what if they don't like me and they want to knock me off the ladder? So this week I have to do the highest point of painting, and I just maybe not going to care how perfect it is on the top. Who cares? You don't see it anyway. It's on back of where bordering up to a warehouse. But yeah, so that's my bird story. But anybody, if you've watched this for 13 minutes, seek therapy. No, I'm kidding. I feel bad, and I also feel bad, because tomorrow Clark Pest Control is coming, and they're going to get these ants. If they're in the kitchen area, I've been getting them. I've been letting them walk other places. I just feel bad, because everybody's got their little life, the little ant colonies, and they're so cooperative and hardworking, and they're really working for that queen ant. Boy, does she have it made or what? She's just got them out looking, scouting. But that's that. So if you look at my other video that I posted yesterday, you'll see a bird sitting there, and you can see my painting that I'm doing of my little home, my little house in the hood. Anyway, have a good day. Today is Wednesday. I have a hearing test today, and I'm taking my mom to the Department of Motor Vehicles to get a new ID. Hers is expiring in September. Is her birthday. All right. Peace.